When you need to talk to a private eye.
You want to be talking to Jim Rockford.
That's right. He's the one to talk to.
They don't know who you're talking to.
Rockford.
He's got everyone talking.
What kind of lowlife is he?
Takes out half-page ads in a phone book.
I seem to recall a phrase, moderately intelligent private detective.
You have a smart mouth.
You're right, I do. But I'm working on changing that.
Jim Rockford is all the talk on MeTV.
He's something else, all right.
Weekdays at 11:10 Central on MeTV.
Hi, I'm John Malos, and welcome to Connect with Me here on MeTV Fresno on this Monday morning. It's on the air, off the presses. Dennis Hart is our guest from KMJ, and your phone calls are encouraged, 265-4331. Again, 265-4331. We're back with our guest in just a moment. And welcome back to the program. I hope you slept well this weekend and did not forget to turn your clocks 1 hour forward. Remember, it's spring forward, fall back. Anyway, we lost an hour of sleep. I didn't worry about it. I didn't change my clock until sometime on Sunday, so I didn't really care one way or the other. I got my sleep in. I got my 8 or 9 hours. Of course, at my age, I need it, right? Anyway, I want to thank the Cal Ripken Little League Baseball organization for having me on as a guest at Chick-Chancey Park this past weekend. I did the guest announcing at Chick-Chancey. They had 45 Little League games in like a 12-hour span. They had T-ball, they had the minor leagues, they had the major leagues, and so my thanks once again. Of course, today is on the air, off the presses. Dennis Hart from KMJ is going to be here. We're going to talk about the trash situation as usual. That's our favorite topic right here on Connect With Me, trash, right? Because we trash talk on almost every topic here on a daily basis. We'll talk about water rates, and hey, how about the article by George Hostetter in the Fresno Bee yesterday talking about money coming out of the Parks and Recs to help the Fresno Convention Center? What? Can it get any worse at City Hall? Well, yeah, the answer is yes, it can. Anyway, we'll also talk about the company called Nexstar. Remember, they bought 47, they bought Channel 24. Are they buying up all the stations? Well, they can't buy Channel 30. They're owned by ABC. We'll talk to Dennis about that. Live in our studio right now is Dennis Hart from KMJ. He's a regular here on Connect With Me. He wrote a couple of books, you might recall. We talked about that previously, and we'll talk to him. And your phone calls are important. 265-4331. Call in. Dennis will answer any and all questions on this day, as will I. We're back in a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
And we're back live here on Connect With Me on MeTV Fresno and Comcast 187 and 43.6. Once again, time to welcome in Dennis Hart from KMJ. How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm fine. My weekend was good. I thought you were going to say number 7, Dennis Hart. You did PA announce it over the weekend, so I thought that's the way you were going to do it.
That was fun.
Up.
I love that.
You know, I used to be the PA announcer for the Fresno Giants. Did you know that? The old Fresno Giants baseball team here? The predecessor to the Grizzlies. I did it for a year. You know who succeeded me? Dan Taylor of Channel 30.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Our friend Dan Taylor.
Yeah, so I did it for a year. It was great fun. I think I got $5 a game doing that, plus hot dogs.
Yeah, well, I volunteered my time. It's volunteerism week here at KMJ.
Yeah, that's where we are, KMJ.
We're at KMJ Studios. That's right. We're off to a good start.
We are, yeah.
That was a lot of fun. They had 45 Little League baseball games take part in a 12-hour span. I mean, they had friends and relatives. There weren't many people there, maybe a couple of thousand people. But what do you expect? You know, it was great.
Well,
great weather.
You're not a big draw. A couple of thousand. That's more than I would have thought. So.
Oh my gosh. So what are we here to talk about today?
We're here to talk City Hall, money?
We can talk
like
City Hall. Let's talk about the article in the paper yesterday.
Yeah, George's article, George
of course, he was a guest here a couple of weeks ago with Randy Reed when I was under the weather.
You were under the weather for a while there. It's good to see you above the ground right now. It really is.
It really is good to wake up each day. I know. You know how it is. Well, you're a little bit older than me, right? You got me by 20 years, don't you?
I don't think so. No. Even if I were older, I look younger. I look really good today.
So what's going on with this? I mean, can it get any worse at City Hall? So now they're taking money out of this area to put in this area because they're...
See, I don't think it's at all surprising. George's article was a very good piece yesterday.
Very in-depth.
Saying that they were taking $350,000 from the Parks Fund. And, of course, Parks is on its back right now in the city. It's been gutted.
They're already down, and so they're kicking them even more while they're
down. The PG&E bill at the Convention Center because the Convention Center is such a mess right now. Now, none of this is a conspiracy. In fact, it's kind of the logical outcome of decisions made a long time ago. The Convention Center was built in the 60s, 50 years ago. What's happened since then? Well, let's see. Save Mart Center was built. Indian gaming casinos started coming into the valley and taking all of the acts away. So there are no acts. There's no real act that comes into the convention center, into the Soroyan or Selland Arena.
Well, then you had the Save Mart Center.
That's what I'm talking about, the Save Mart Center. Yeah, so now the convention center, we have $7 million in yearly debt and maintenance fees that have to be paid for the convention center. It's a black hole down there. So now the irony, of course, is that you're pulling money out of one black hole, Parks and Rec, putting it into another one, and there's no end in sight. And why is that? Because a lot of things have gone wrong for the city of Fresno. The economy tanked when the mayor came into town, came in as mayor. That wasn't her fault. There were problems from the previous administration in terms of some bad financial decisions. Shall we just say downtown is part of a mess that the city's involved in and financially? It just is.
They'd like to get rid of the park, Chichansey Park. They'd like to they'd like to just dump it.
Well,
just get rid of it, is a drain. And so is the convention center, Selland Arena, the whole ball of wax. Downtown is a drain on the system.
Yes, you've got the Fulton Mall, which the mayor would dearly like to rip up and open Fulton Street again. You've got Chichansey Park, where the payment every year on that is so much. The Grizzlies don't make any money, and so the city's subsidizing them.
Right.
Desperate to keep them downtown. The stadium was built in the early part of the 2000 or so.
I think it was 2001 or something like that.
It's too big. It's too big. 12 to 14,000 seats. Too big. They get 5,000 or 6,000 people there a night, draining the city. Yeah. I mean, I don't see a lot of good things coming out right now financially for the city of Fresno. You've still got a budget deficit. You've still got questions about privatizing residential garbage pickup. Now you've got water rates that probably have to go up considerably. Yeah, the city's kind of in a financial mess.
Right, and they're talking about doubling the water rate. So if your water bill is what? $25 a month, let's say, on average. I'm just using that on average. Of course, everybody's got water meters now. At least I do. I don't know about you. Have you got them?
Oh, sure.
At your house? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so it's going to double in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
That's what they want. So instead of 25, it'll go up to 50. We've got a phone call. Let's take that right off the bat. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. How are you?
Okay.
Good. What's your question for Dennis Hart?
Yeah, question. The city promotes education and the mayor and city hall, but then you have a city manager that's a high school dropout that has no education. How has that been done?
I didn't quite understand the question. You've got a city manager who what?
That doesn't have a high school degree or a GED and no education. How did he get in that position?
Mark Scott's very well educated. He's been one of the best city managers in the United States for the past 30 years. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the assistant city manager, Bruce Wright.
The assistant city manager?
Yes.
Okay.
Has no education. How did he get promoted?
Well, I don't know what Bruce's educational level is. What in the world does that have to do with what we're talking about? He's been an assistant city manager for decades.
If you go in the city, look into the internet and look at his background.
What does that have to do with our financial problems that the city's been in for years?
That tells you when you have uneducated people, how can you make educated and try to correct problems?
Well, the assistant city manager isn't actually making decisions. I mean, so how he got promoted and what his educational background is, I'm not sure. But do you have any other specific questions for Dennis as to what might be going on at City Hall?
I want to know can you get a promoted individual without an education?
I don't know that that's a question we can answer.
I can't answer that, and I don't think it's relevant to what we're talking about. I don't think Bruce Rudd has anything to do with the financial problems the city's in right now.
I understand you like to cover up stuff like that. It's important.
We cover up stuff like that? I don't cover up anything.
We're not covering up anything. It's just not a question that we can really answer because. Go ahead.
The financial issues that we're in predate Mark Rudd and predate
Mark Scott.
Yeah, and Mark Scott. Okay, these are long-term financial issues. Again, we talked about the convention center built in the 60s. It's outmoded now. It's been stripped, but the city still has responsibility for it. We have Chancey Park, which is a drain, a tremendous drain, millions of dollars a year on the debt payment. We have Granite Park. We have a lot of problems in the city right now. I don't think you put them on one person, okay?
No, but like you said, the previous administration, I mean, let's call it the way it is. I mean, it was Alan Autry. It was Andy Souza. He was the city manager. So a lot of problems, and we could debate this all day, and I'm sure if Alan and Andy were here, they would probably disagree with us. But let's take a quick phone call here. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me with Dennis Hart. How are you? Hello? Yeah, you're on. Well, you were on, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think that the mayor, as we've talked before, to be very fair to her, inherited what we can only talk about as a mess. The economy was tanking in the United States. She inherits Granite Park, which is an absolute disaster out there. She inherits the stadium. The Met. Okay, a lot of things. So now she is dealing with declining sales tax revenue, declining property tax revenue, a national economy that's tanking, and suddenly she has millions of dollars in the hole. She has had to cut $100 million from the budget in the last 4 years, 900 fewer positions in the city, and more are going to come because the city still isn't out of the mess.
Well, you're talking about the Met, you're talking about Granite Park, Running Horse, the stadium, and of course when the Save Mart Center was built, I remember precisely the people at City Hall were telling us, oh no, that's not going to affect our business here at the Convention Center or Selland Arena.
Virtually destroyed it, as you know, because all the acts went out there. They didn't go downtown, okay? And the casinos, don't underestimate the Indian gaming
have
casinos.
All the acts
That's
too.
Exactly right. And don't underestimate what happened to the city. Remember, the city put in millions of dollars to renovate Selland Arena for the Falcons. The Falcons had moved to the Save Mart Center, the hockey team, and they put in millions in Selland to get them back. And what happens immediately after that? The Falcons go bankrupt. They're no longer playing. And
well, you got the Monsters now, the Fresno Monsters, that they kind of took over.
Yeah, but that's a junior hockey team, okay?
I know.
They draw very, very few people, okay?
Right, I understand.
Now, none of that was Ashley Swearingen's doing. By the way, who did that? That was Alan Autry and the City Council. We renovated and put that money in there.
Right. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me with Dennis Hart. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I just want to say to you, John, I'm a big fan of yours, and also I prayed for you that you had flu bug, and I'm glad you feel better to see you on the show.
Thank you very much. Sure, I appreciate the phone call. Hey, what's your question for Dennis? You got a question for the Big D here?
I had no questions so far, but I'm just glad you're back on the show, and I'm a big fan of yours.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you. What do you think about what's going on around the city at City Hall and all these failed projects and the money problems?
Well, I just hope the mayor of Fresno could fix the big problem. And also, we have this tough economy. But I hope everything will turn out good for the city of Fresno and also the mayor.
Okay. Hey, thanks. Very pleasant phone call.
You know, for a moment I thought she said she was praying you had the flu bug.
I know. Well, I know you would say that, but anyway, I wouldn't expect anything less. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, Dennis Hart is our guest here on Connect with Me. I was going to say KMJ again, but we are Connect with Me on Me TV Fresno. 265-4331. If you got a question, if you got a comment, you know what? It's Open Line Monday right here, and it's a free-for-all. So call in. We'll be back in just a moment.
I love a joke.
Say, Lucy.
Yeah, Ricky?
A tramp came up to me in the street and he said he hadn't had a bite in weeks.
What'd you do, bite him? Opening butler joke, buddy, come on.
The master says to the butler, Jeeves, did you put fresh water in the goldfish bowl? And the butler says, why? They didn't drink up what I gave them last night.
You know that ancient joke about the guy who saves his regiment, shoots the cook?
No. How does it go?
Oh, you got to love it. You know, everybody has an opinion, right? And that's why we have phone calls. We want you to be a part of the show. We value your opinion. We may or may not disagree with it. Who cares? You're watching the show. You're involved. We're involved with you, and that's why we call this show Connect with Me, because you're connecting with us. And Dennis, how do you like the name of the show, Connect with Me?
I was going to say Connect with Den would be better. Don't you think that I'm here, Connect with Den? So, no, you were talking about the water rates, okay, going up, doubling. And the reason that Patrick Weimiller, the Public Works Director, says it has to happen is because, number one, we have some pipes that are 130 years old that are crumbling underneath. We need a new water treatment plant down there. And I think it's important to recognize that even if the council, and it's not clear whether they're going to approve these new water rates, even if they do, we would still have lower water rates than virtually every other major city in California. Our rates are pretty low.
And we should, and I'll tell you why in just a moment here. Let's take this phone call. Good morning, you're on Connect with Me. How are you?
Good morning, John. To Dennis Hart, does that mean our taxes are going to go up? Or is that a possibility?
On which part? Which part are we talking about?
I'm not really sure. Truthfully, I'm in the county, but I'm not how that works for the city of Fresno, whether sales tax that will go up more. Would that help us get out of this black hole?
Well, there are two parts to your question, and it's really a very good question. Your first part, will taxes go up? I don't see any consensus on the city council to raise taxes to pay for any of this. I know that Oliver Baines has brought up the possibility of a public safety tax.
I was going to say Oliver Baines.
But he's one guy, and I don't see a majority on the council, especially this council, the new council, supporting that. Your second question is a very good question. Would a temporary increase in the sales tax mean a lot to the city? Absolutely. The problem is we have declining revenues, we have a revenue problem, and we have a spending problem. But the mayor has addressed the spending problem by gutting $100 million from the budget over the last 4 years and laying off 900 people. They're gone. So more money is needed. Yes, it would help the city, but do I see it happening at this moment on this Monday morning? I do not see it happening. I don't think there's a majority on the council willing to go that way.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. I appreciate your answer.
Are you in favor of raising taxes to get the city?
I'm not sure. I'm not there yet. I'd probably vote no.
Okay.
Probably vote
well,
no.
let me ask you a question, okay?
Yeah.
You sound like a very smart person.
Well, I try to be.
Well, no, I'm very serious about this. You'd say you'd vote no. What would you then cut from the city since we have to cut some more? You're now the mayor. What would you cut?
That's a loaded question.
No, it's a serious question.
I guess a little bit of every department again. I don't know about the police department or the fire department.
They have to be a part of it because, you know what?
Yeah.
That's where most of the general fund money goes, is for police and fire.
It's like 80%, isn't it?
It is 80%. It is.
It would have to be a little bit of every department. Again, I think it already happened once.
Oh, it's happened many times.
Yeah. Again, it'll the same scenario all over again until this gets resolved.
And I think your point's a very good one. I think that there have been so many cuts made. The Parks Department really doesn't even exist anymore. Street maintenance is almost nothing at this point. Now we're borrowing money from a Parks Department that has no money to pay for the convention center. It's not fun to be the mayor of the city right now.
But let me ask you a question, because George Hostetter was a guest here about a week and a half ago, and the mayor's been telling us all along, we're $5.5 million in the hole, we're roughly, whatever the figure may be. Now, a couple of weeks ago, come to find out, the mayor was giving interviews to just about everyone. I heard your interview with the mayor on KMJ. You talked with her. Now we understand it's $1.5 million.
Because it's a moving target.
Were they fudging the numbers at City Hall?
I don't think
What's
so.
going on? To try to deceive us?
No. I think what it is, John, is very simple. Things change. It's not the same.
What change do you think?
Well, she says that property tax revenues went up slightly and sales tax revenues went up slightly in the last 3 or 4 months.
And that's why the gap is not as big?
Right. And she's also made some cuts. She's also made some changes. More cuts are coming. So now we're saying that there's about $1 million gap at this moment as we speak on this Monday morning. She projects it out in 3 or 4 years without the privatization of garbage. She projects it to be another $12 million over the next 3 or 4 years. She says this privatization, which would bring in, as you know, we've talked about it before,
right, $2.5 million.
Yeah, $2.5 million a year in franchise fees, $1.5 million signing fees.
But that still won't take us out of the hole.
No. it will do a large part. Now, here's another thing. We have an election coming up on June 4th on the privatization. That's going to cost $1 million. Where's that going to come from?
I was just going to ask you, where is that going to come from?
Well, it's either got to come from the general fund or you have to take it from somewhere else. I mean, it's remarkable. The unions got what they wanted. They wanted to have the public decided, right? So now they're going to get that. Well, it's going to cost $1 million. And ironically, in order to pay for the election, the mayor may have to lay off some more people, may have to do some more cuts in order to have this election.
All right. Now, I've heard the union members say, even on Facebook and I believe in the paper, from what I've read, they say that raising the water rates is a way for the mayor to almost like threaten the city residents with, hey, if you don't vote in favor of privatizing, we're going to raise those water rates because we have to. Is that what's going on?
No. That's bull, okay? The water rates...
You've heard the same thing.
Yes, the water rates probably have to go up, not because she's trying to threaten the city, because we have an aging infrastructure that's breaking apart, because we need to create a new water treatment plant in Southeast to accommodate the growth.
But don't you find it odd that it would come up now?
No.
Why didn't it come up last year or?
I don't know. Patrick Weimiller. I don't know why. Who knows? No, it's not. It's not a matter of threatening. The water rates are going to go up whether we privatize or not. They have to.
Right.
Okay. Now the city council is scared to death of this. You know, I covered the meeting on Thursday where Patrick Weimiller made the presentation.
I was going to ask you what happened.
Well, they ran from it as fast as they could. Okay, he made the presentation saying we have to have $400 million over the next 5 or 6 years, and here's the capital project we're going to have. We're going to build a water treatment plant. We're going to replace lines. Everybody listened very respectfully, and nobody did anything to try to set into motion the process to do it. They're running scared because the council doesn't want to make these decisions. The council never wants to lay off
It's a hot
people.
potato.
They want the mayor to make all these decisions.
Yeah, it's a hot potato. Oh my God, this is like raising taxes.
Yeah.
It's you take it.
They really want her to make the cuts. They want her to make all these decisions. We don't want to have to do that. Well, they're going to have to make this decision because in order to set the public process toward raising the rates, the council actually has to act. Weimiller wanted them to set a May 16th protest hearing and then decide on it by July 1st. They ran from that so fast it was amazing. So,
but I mean, you talked about this. Even if they raise the rates, we're still going to have the lowest water rates in the entire state of California.
Yeah.
But let me tell you why that should be. Many people have described this area as the Appalachia of the West. Okay, a very depressed area. Unemployment is through the roof. It's very high.
14%.
14% plus.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So shouldn't the water rates be lower than other cities in California?
But the unemployment rate has nothing to do with the amount of water that we have or the amount of water we're using. Before meters went in, we had one of the highest per capita water usage rates in the state because nobody paid for it. We're in a desert. We live in a desert, folks. We have a limited aquifer underneath us.
But if we learned how to save our water, if we knew how to...
But we never learned that until we had meters. Right now, the only reason some people are conserving is because, guess what? It costs money to spend. Look, we have the wrong type of grass. In every subdivision that we have in the city, what type of grass do they put in? This ryegrass that takes a tremendous amount of water during the summertime. Bermuda takes a lot less water. Mm-hmm. You can water that once or twice a week, and it comes back. This other grass, you have to water how many times?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times. Yeah, consistently, at least 3 times a week.
So we consistently put in the wrong type of vegetation when we build new subdivisions. That's a mistake. So no, I don't. Yes, we have a terrible economy here. There's no question we're a poor area economically. But you have to conserve the amount of water you have because guess what? If we run out of water, we're all dead. Mm-hmm. We're all gone. So I think water meters were the only way to do that, to cut consumption.
Another call here, a wireless caller. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me with Dennis Hart. How are you? What's your question?
I'm good. Yeah, you guys were talking about how they needed to raise rates because of the water rates so that they could pay for the new treatment plant?
That's what the city is saying, yes.
Yeah, well, on my water bill, I have this bill. It's called a standby charge. It's roughly about $10 every month.
Yes.
I asked the water company what that was, and they said that's insurance on your line. So aren't they already collecting money towards that?
Well, no, it's not insurance on your lines. There are 2 charges on your bill. One is the standby charge. That's the monthly fixed charge for the connection that you have into the city's water system. Everybody's connection charge is the same. That's not the same as the other charge, the amount of water that you use that the meter figures out.
So
in other words,
not an insurance
No. It is the
all.
connection charge, the cost of doing business, if you will, to connect to the city of Fresno. Because it costs
the line to transport the water from point A to point B.
That is a fixed charge. Now, the meter charge is the actual amount of water that you and I use on a monthly basis. If you use a lot of water, you're going to spend a lot of money. And you should, because you know what? It costs more. You should be paying more money. I'll tell you what, when we went on water meters, we cut down our water usage. It forces you to do that. And it should, because how often have you seen water running into the streets of the city of Fresno? People just overwatering consistently, and they weren't paying for it.
Right.
Well, now they will.
Right. We got to take a break, but I do want to say I did call the city and I asked them what it cost in terms of water, and they say it cost about $1, roughly $1 for every 1,000 gallons that you use. So, I mean, it's still fairly cheap.
Cheaper than any other big city in California.
You think about 1,000 gallons, that's a lot of water.
It
You're
is.
only paying $1 for that.
It is.
So, we're back with more of Dennis Hart, and connect with me right here on MeTV Fresno. Hey, thanks for those phone calls. 265-4331 is the number.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
We're back here on the air, off the presses with Dennis Hart. I want to kind of change topics here because this is one of my favorite topics. I love talking about broadcasting. I just love it. Of course, I've been in it most of my life. Nexstar, that's a company that has owned Channel 47 since last year. They recently purchased Channel 24.
Yes.
Now I'm hearing rumors, not rumors because I talked to people at KMPH. They say they're looking possibly to buy KMPH Fox 26. Big if this happens, good God, Dennis, what does this do to the market?
It's an interesting scenario, isn't it? First of all, Nexstar, we know, owns 24 and 47. And in their history,
they're going to combine their newscasts,
they're going to combine a lot of operations at those stations. There will be fewer people working at those stations 6 months from now than there are at this moment, because what Nexstar does is they come in and they take operations that are struggling. And let's face it, ratings-wise in news, 47 and 24 have struggled for years. And they cut costs, and there's only one way to cut costs. You eliminate people, and that's what they're going to be doing. In the news department, in every other department, they've done it in city after city. I have heard the same rumor about 26. I do not know if that's true.
Well, I talked to people at 26 that say, they're looking to buy us. But, whether or not it's going to happen, that's another thing.
Now, the big behemoth in the city, in news, is Channel 30. 30's been #1 in news for 30 years, 35 years.
Who's going to knock off Channel 30?
I don't think anybody's going to knock them off. #1, they're owned by the owned by Disney, which owns ABC.
Right.
They have more money than any other station in the city can put in. They have more reporters, more anchors. They really do. They have those promos. We have more reporters. Well, they do. They cover more. They have earned the #1 status. The reason Nexstar is buying these stations is to cut costs. That's what they do to try to make a small
They're
profit.
not buying these stations to overtake Channel 30. They're buying it to make money.
Nexstar does not buy stations historically and add people. They buy it by subtracting people, and that's what may happen. The irony, of course, is that 35 years ago or so, Channel 24 was KMJ TV, owned by McClatchy, which owned the Fresno Bee and still does, owned KMJ Radio, owned KMJ TV, and the FCC, the federal government, said, you have too much of a concentration of control here. Look, you've got the #1 television station, #1 radio station, you've got the dominant newspaper, got to break you up. Now the government is allowing struggling operations, Channel 24 among them.
But that happened early in this decade. If you recall, Harry Pappas, who owned KMPH, he was allowed to buy Channel 59. You remember that?
Yes.
Well, that's when it all started.
Yes, because the government is now trying to help struggling operations survive in the marketplace 35 years after they broke up operations in order to try to survive.
Quickly, is it good or bad for this market to have one company like Nexstar come in and own 3 stations, or even 2?
Well, at the risk of sounding, as one caller said, like I'm covering up the answer.
Yeah, don't cover anything up.
It's both good and bad. If it helps 24 and 47 to survive, that's good. In terms of taking away competition, obviously that's bad, because you've got one company now owning 2 or 3 stations, the same editorial output, maybe the same newscast as we're talking about. That is a possibility that the 2 stations could have the same newscast in the next few months. That's remarkable to me.
Unbelievable. By the way, the people that are going to be laid off eventually, they're still going to have to pay their water bill.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But they'll be available to come on your show as guests.
That's right. They will.
All right. They can connect with us.
And they're welcome here anytime, as you are.
Well, thank you very much.
Are we out of time already? It's over. Can you believe that?
No.
I want another half hour.
Let's do it again. I'm ready to come back.
Okay, next month. Dennis Hart.
Number 7 betting cleanup, Dennis Hart, as the PA announcer John Malos would say.
All right, we're going to be back with more of another edition of Connect with Me tomorrow. It's Me TV Fresno. You've been watching us live on Comcast in 43.6. Have a great day. See you back here tomorrow.
Look at that. Isn't that a great layout? You son of a gun.
This campaign is no good.
No good?
Darren and Larry, the original Mad Men on Bewitched.